The following is a presentation of the Belly Up Sports Media Network.
Is the main event.
This is your main event, Mark's Podcast. I'm your host, lifelong wrestling fan, former radio guy, cat, and now dog dad. And I do this, I do that. I'm as strong as a bull and as quick as a cat. Well, maybe not, but I do this and that. I am Troy, and joining me on our journey today will be Greg in archived audio. As I mentioned in our last podcast, Greg unfortunately is no longer with us, but his spirit and his memory live on in audio form, and I am very pleased to have the WCW Watcher of Classic Wrestling, WWE Walking Wrestling Encyclopedia, and the ECW Encyclopedia of Classic Wrestling with us here in audio form today. I enjoyed putting this audio together for the show going on this week. I decided this was a pretty good time to post a new show. And in fact, I'm going to post a few new shows coming up with archived audio, but with some new audio of me mixed in there as well. I said that I was going to try to post something before WrestleMania that wasn't just a WrestleMania show. That one is coming up, by the way. I will post a best of WrestleMania show with some good audio that I've handpicked coming up. But this I really wanted to get into because Sting retired. Everybody who loves wrestling knows that Sting has retired. It happened. His last match was at AEW Revolution this past Sunday. My friend Caleb was actually there live in person. He drove all the way there through a few states just to see Sting retire. And from what he said, it was freaking awesome. Watching it at home, I loved it. I have not seen an AEW show in a long time. So I had to tune in for this one. I didn't watch the whole show, but yet anyway. But I did see Sting's match. I heard from others that have seen the whole show that it was great, and there were a lot of really good matches. Even I have a friend that's not a big AEW fan, but he said the one thing they do right is pay-per-view, and this seems to be it, man. Sting had his final match. It was a tag team title match, him and Darby Allin against the Young Bucks, or the Jacksons, the EVPs, whatever, Matthew and Nicholas Jackson. The tag titles were on the line for Sting's last match. It was a Texas Tornado match, and anything goes, of course, because it's Darby freaking Allin, and they wanted Sting to go out with a bang, blood, guts, and all that. I think Sting was the only one that didn't bleed. If anybody doesn't want spoilers, I'd say skip ahead like 2-3 minutes. But yeah, it was a heartwarming affair, besides the match itself, because before he comes out, they had this farewell video package where he sits down in an empty theater and watches stills and video clips from his career. The stills were ones that weren't licensed. They didn't have to license from WWE, and the videos were all stuff he did in Japan throughout his career. That was really cool. I appreciated seeing that. It took me a couple of clips to realize, oh, this is all Japanese footage. Cool. So that's how they were able to get a hold of it. But the stills were ones that other people had taken outside of WCW, so they could be licensed by AEW and all that. So, but it was a great video package that was put together for him, just encompassing his whole career. I loved it. It was emotional. And then he said, "It's showtime. It's showtime for the last time." And he comes out, he's got both of his sons flanking him during his entrance. His one son was dressed as him at Great American Bash 1990, face paint, outfit, and all. His other son was dressed in his Wolfpack attire, had a wig on, and had the trench coat and all that. It was really cool. They got involved in the match at the very beginning because it was anything goes. The only thing I had to critique about the entire match was they used panes of glass, real glass. And Darby Allin did a coffin drop onto a plane of glass that was sitting on chairs, and he just tore his back up. I don't know why AEW insists on using real effing glass, but here we are. Darby Allin got just tore up from the ground up, man. That was gross. He bled like a stuck pig. But other than that, the match was really cool. Sting no-sold a bunch, typical Sting fashion and whatever. He's done stuff like that throughout his whole career, but he cranked it up to 11 for this one. I didn't mind it because it was his farewell, so I'm not going to sit here and critique that. He also, I forgot to mention, before him and his sons came out, he had Ric Flair and Ricky the Dragon Steamboat using his old NWA theme. They both came out. That was cool. They actually got involved in the match as well. Both of them ate super kicks from the Jacksons. It's cool. It was fun had by all. And Sting got the win. So as of the airing of this, Dynamite is tonight. So I don't know if, since Darby and Sting are still tag team champs and Sting is officially retired, I'm assuming Darby's going to pass the title down to somebody, or get a partner, or maybe he's going to have Sting handpick his partner. I really don't know. I don't know. So that's Sting's farewell match, but I wanted to have a few Thank You Sting podcasts, because looking back at the archived audio, I'm like, we have so much we did on Sting. I can really put together at least one show. Come to find out, once I started compiling audio, this show would have been forever long, so I decided to cut it down to just some specific things. I was talking to a buddy the other night about our favorite feuds of his and some memorable stuff he did in WCW and whatnot, and I decided the first show I want to do is old school. Him versus Vader and him versus Ric Flair. They've been on the same side of the ring, or at least him and Flair have, not so much him and Vader, but they've been against each other, and they were fantastic feuds, memorable feuds with a lot going on in them. They went on for years, and I really enjoyed them. I think a lot of fond memories came out of those feuds. Some funny stuff came out of some of the feuds as well, but I really wanted to touch on them in our first Thank You Sting podcast. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to transition into our first section here of all the stuff we got from Sting and Vader with all of their encounters, whether they were in a multi-man match or one-on-one, backstage segments, in-ring segments, whatever. We're going to start there, and then we're going to transition into him versus Flair, but we'll get into that. But first, I want to kick us off getting into Sting versus the man they call Vader, and the first event we're touching on is some multi-man match. They're on opposite sides of the ring. It's the Chamber of Horrors match from WCW Halloween Havoc 1991. It's both entertaining and dumb all at the same time. It's lovely. If you haven't seen it yet, definitely go see it. But here we go with Sting and Vader.
WCW Halloween Havoc 1991.
But the opening match, man, God dang it.
You see, why would you start with anything else?
Yeah, right. Well, let's get this out of the way early. Can
we just talk about that real quick? Why did this open the show?
I assume because they didn't want to put the cage up mid-show and then tear it down.
So why don't they just put it up at the end?
Well, that's what I'm saying. They probably didn't want to take time off time out of the show to put the cage up. They probably just wanted it up to start the show, and then I don't know, because they had to tear it down, so they did have to take intermission.
Yeah.
I don't know. Would you want this to be the last thing people saw?
Back then, yes. And now, with my brain now, no. But I'm laughing that it opened the show, because this was the most hyped thing on the entire show. That's my point.
Right. I mean, 6 1 half dozen the other, because either it's the last thing or the first thing people are going to see. Neither one is good. But it's El Gigante, Rick Steiner, Scott Steiner, and Sting taking on Big Van Vader, the Diamond Stud, Cactus Jack, and Abdullah the Butcher in a Chamber of Horrors match that went about 12 and a half minutes. Okay, so Barry was supposed to be on this card. Vader subbed for Barry Windham, and Cactus Jack subbed for Oz. Man, the match could have been more epic with Oz.
And the little, what do they call him?
The Wizard?
Sullivan? Yeah, the Wizard.
Yeah.
He would have been out there too?
Yeah, welcome to Oz. Hey, they could have played Shock the Monkey. No?
They got shock coming up, trust me.
Right. Maybe Wyndham wasn't injured. Maybe he was turning babyface, so they pulled him. I don't know. But they tried jamming a lot of stars into this one, and that just made it even more embarrassing.
Considering all the stuff we're about to get on the rest of this card, yeah.
Right.
It clearly shows.
Yeah. The referees
That was one of my first notes, by the way. Why are there so many big stars in this match? That was my first note.
And El Gigante. I'm sorry.
Wow.
All right. Anyway, the referee's wearing a camera inside of a bike helmet, and they call it the referee.
Hell yes.
This
I just
sucked.
didn't like that was covering that sweet mullet. That's what pissed me off the most. But you know.
Yeah, I know. This was like the original GoPro, basically. It was weird. But everyone battles inside and outside the cage. About a minute into this one, the chair of torture, which was an electric chair, lowers into the center of the ring. Cactus Jack gets busted open. Vader loses his mask. You know, the usual. The switch because there's a giant switch. You got to climb up and pull it down to set the electric chair off. Well, it falls like the switch falls down
Multiple times.
And the camera sees this, by the way. Oh, God. And right in plain view, Cactus climbs the cage to push it back up. In the end, Rick Steiner belly-to-belly suplexes Abdullah the Butcher into the electric chair, straps him in, and Cactus, who apparently didn't think to look back for 2 seconds, thinks that Rick Steiner's still in the chair, so he flips the switch down, electrifying the bloody Abdullah the Butcher. Tony Schiavone comments that Abdullah is well done.
Yeah.
The electric chair stipulation had nothing to do with the advertised stipulations, which, granted, were so convoluted that the writers of Lost would have looked at them and say, maybe we should clarify some things. Uncle Dave,
I totally understood.
Yeah. Uncle Dave gave this -2 stars. I will admit the match itself sucked, but the brawling was fine, so I gave it 1.5 stars. What say you?
I gave it a star. I was tempted to bump it to 2 because I was laughing.
Yeah.
It didn't put me to sleep, but man, this thing sucked.
The match itself, like the actual wrestling, wasn't terrible.
Well,
but
it's non-existent.
Yeah. And then they lower that giant effing chair inside of a cage into the cage. And I'm like, what is going on? Real quick, to go over the story we were referencing on that Legends show, Dusty Rhodes said something about, I woke up in a cold sweat one night with an idea called Halloween Havoc. And he's going on about this electric chair, Daddy, and somebody's going to get electrocuted. And like, why did you ever think this was going to be good? And then he's like, well, and then the switch kept falling down on camera, and the camera kept like focusing on it and everything, and I just hung my head in the back. I was like, oh man. It's like,
my idea, Daddy.
even on paper, this looked like crap. Like, why?
Let me just see what the hell else we can do to Abdullah.
I wonder if Jim Herd was in the back like, this is awesome. Gotta get another slice of pizza.
I wish the ding dongs were in this.
Like, God dang it, next year we can do this with the ding dongs versus the hunchbacks. That'd have been great.
Holy crap.
Get the goddamn Candyman in there. But after the match, Cactus Jack is shaking Abdullah and squealing like a pig. Abdullah finally snaps awake and knocks Cactus on his ass. He then runs up the ramp, knocking over orderlies that were coming out to the ring with a stretcher. Tony says, well, he woke up and saw heaven and realized he didn't belong there.
Holy crap. Not wrong.
Tony Schiavone's the best part of this, man. Like, sometimes he's still the best part of the show. Like, so I don't know why everybody craps on him, man. He was great. Still is.
WCW Starrcade 1992.
Bill Watt says that the winner of the Battle Bowl will now receive a ring like a Super Bowl ring, but much dumber and completely meaningless. I added that part, by the way.
Are you going to say that tonight to MJF or Ricky Starks, too? Not to give away when recording this?
Yeah, right. They then bring Sting out to the ring to accept his ring from last year's Battle Bowl. A whole year later, I'm sure Sting still...
even like the Super Bowl and like NBA Finals get the ring in like a couple of months.
Right. Well, I'm sure Sting still has this to this day and cherishes it with his life. He's going to be buried with it.
Again, I go back to MJF. I think he will be buried with his Dynamite ring.
Yeah. I was going to say either that or it's collecting dust up in Sting's attic somewhere or in his garage. But either way. Sting comes out to get the ring and thank everyone. This is Big Van Vader with Harley Race in his corner, taking on Sting in the King of Cable tournament title match.
On pay-per-view, by the way.
Yeah, King of Cable on pay-per-view.
I guess you technically have to have cable to get pay-per-view, so I guess there was a little asterisk in there. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, this one goes 16 minutes, 50 seconds. For some reason, Vader wears a do-rag to the ring. That comes off before the match.
Because he's badass.
Well, that comes off before, because when I think Vader, I think, tough, street smart, come from the hood, the wrong side of the tracks, do-rag, man. No? Anyway, well, that comes off before the match, and then his mask comes off about 2 minutes into the match. Per usual. In the end, Vader dives off the top rope and is caught by Sting midair for a power slam, leading to a
I thought that was great.
Oh, yeah, that was awesome. Leads to a pinfall win for Sting. Uncle Dave says you couldn't ask for a better match. Hot moves, focused storyline, and great planning. He gives this 4.5 stars. I gave it 3. What say you?
I gave it 3. Second best match of the night.
Yep, my opinion is right there with yours. So, yeah, it was good stuff, man. Everybody, these 2 matches right there are the ones you need to go watch. The rest of the card, you can, blow by it. Who gives a damn? But this one is Battle Bowl 2. It is Dan Spivey versus Dustin Rhodes, the Great Muta, Barry Windham, Steve Williams, Van Hammer, Vader with Harley Race, and Sting. Goes about 14 minutes. It's an over-the-top rope battle royal, by the way. Sting and Vader jump each other in the aisleway before the match even starts.
Yep, we got a jump start on a battle royal, folks. You know where this is going.
Damn right. Rhodes and Windham go through.
Real quick, the whole thing about a battle royal is the whole match is a jump start. Boom, get in there, ring the bell. Boom, go, go, go.
Yep.
So, they got to do it beforehand.
Exactly. Rhodes and Windham go through the middle ropes before Dustin bulldogs Windham on the ramp. Steve Williams eliminates Van Hammer first, proving that there is a just and righteous God. Spivey goes to clothesline Sting, but Sting ducks and dumps Dan Spivey over the top rope to eliminate him. Vader ends up going over the top rope and he clotheslines Sting outside, so both are eliminated. Barry Windham's nose is busted up and bleeding, so we get some blood tonight. Barry Windham attempts to dump Dustin Rhodes. Steve Williams tries to step in, and both Dr. Death and Dustin get eliminated by Barry. In the end, Windham tosses Muta over the top rope, but Muta skins a cat. He then hits the 2 drop kicks in a row on Windham, sending him flying over the top rope to give the Great Muta the win. The crowd goes nuts for the finish, so at least they got hot for it. Uncle Dave said this was totally anticlimactic and nothing memorable occurred. Hard to argue. He gave it 1.5 stars. I gave it 2.5. I thought it was an average battle royal. What say you?
Smack dab in the middle.
Dose.
I found it great. I was so happy for the Great Muta. He couldn't win the stupid NWA title, but he won the prestigious Battle Bowl. I mean,
yeah, so they made him whole at the end of the night, Greg.
Yeah. I mean, anybody won an NWA title in 1992, right? Anybody.
Yeah.
We're talking Battle Bowl, dude.
I mean, hell, even Root got to hold that damn thing after a while. I mean, they changed the name, but still. Effing dumb. So all the pyro lights off in the rafters for the Great Muta's Battle Bowl victory as Muta celebrates. We go back to commentary to run down what all we've seen and what we'll see in the future shows.
Like we're running down this show. Gotcha.
Right.
Uncle Dave says that it certainly wasn't the best show of the year, but it was a pretty solid thumbs up. Are we watching the same show, Dave?
Pretty solid thumbs up.
Yeah, like what? By what standard? Halfway into the show, it was in the toilet and racing with Halloween Havoc for the worst of the year honors. But 2 excellent matches saved the show.
I disagree. I don't think 2 matches can save a show like this.
Yeah, right. He notes that trying to equate the Battle Bowl ring with a Super Bowl ring just downgrades the world title even more, as if defending 2 different world titles in the middle of the show didn't already do enough job of that. Hard to argue. It was what it was.
WCW Super Brawl 3.
I'm laughing because I forgot my first note for the open, dude. They open with, it looks like Sting getting molested. And I'm like, what the hell? That is literally the first thing you see.
Yeah, Barry Windham is like, he looks like he's doing Sting doggy style over the top rope while
Vader holds him.
Who is it on the outside? Harley Race is on the outside holding Sting's arms down over the top rope. Vader's whipping him with a strap. Somebody had posted a picture of this, and I sent it to one of my friends who's actually in the local wrestling scene.
Yeah.
And I captioned it, and I was like, when I said F him, Barry, I didn't mean like this. He got a kick out of it. But anyway.
What I laughed so hard about is, like, they didn't say, hey, well, this is Super Brawl, welcome. That's the first thing you see. Almost like you're coming in to do a live TV show.
Yeah, it's like, whoa.
What the hell?
Yeah, you come in, and I can just imagine, like, casual viewers coming in and seeing that. And they're like, what in the F? Why is that half-naked man doing the other half-naked man while the third half-naked man straps him?
What the hell? And you made it worse. Congrats.
And he's in a BDSM mask. But I did say, as goofy as the White Castle of Fear was, the opening package actually made me care about it. And I was like, well, it's kind of cool, actually. Plus, it's Sting and Vader, so I'm always down for that. We get a video package of Sting in a helicopter flying through snowy mountains. Vader says... Then we flip to... We see Vader. He's like, Stinger, we have a date with destiny. While snow blows around him. Which, this was a precursor to Sting in AEW, by the way.
Yeah, right. Hold on. There's 2 things I said about that. Number 1, so we can hear Sting's thoughts.
Yeah, okay.
And number two, did Sting hear Vader talking to him? That's what I wanted to know.
Yeah, that's another thing, yeah. But I put in here, we can hear Sting's internal thoughts saying to himself, I wonder what this is all about. Like,
it's the most horrible acting, too.
Yeah, this was a precursor. This was a precursor to us hearing Jeff Hardy's thoughts in TNA. Remember that for a while?
I do. Didn't they do something like that with Randy Orton and The Undertaker, too, at one point?
Oh, God. They had him seeing The Undertaker in a mirror. Or no, he saw his bloody dad in a mirror.
Right, I apologize. That's vastly different.
Yes. Well, yeah. Well, and that was a ripoff of Hogan seeing the Warrior in a mirror. So, so much epicness.
I just love how this is across a couple of companies, too. It's not one doing it.
Yeah, multiple companies thought this was a good idea. God dang it. First, before, they kept cutting into, like, at inopportune times with this. I was like, why do they keep doing this? Was this live on the pay-per-view when they did this? Because we get another weird video in the mountains of a camera going into a cave where a medieval-looking table was set up with food all over it, and Vader's, like, helmet shoulder pad thingies, like, the centerpiece.
Yeah.
That was it. This lasted for literally, like, 4 or 5 seconds, and then we go right back to the ring.
Going back to that White Castle Pier thing, I completely forgot it was a strap match. I thought it was a brawl that took place in that.
No, thank God it wasn't. That, God dang. At least they were smart enough not to do that. But, yeah. But we get another cinematic short scene where Sting walks into Vader's cave and 2 beautiful women are laying on a bed covered in fur blankets. I said, Sting looks like he's the Terminator scanning the room.
No, he's RoboCop. Because obvious reasons.
dead or alive, they're coming with me.
And because RoboCop saved Sting.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I didn't even put that together, but yeah. He's the only tag partner that never turned on Sting. So, still waiting for that epic Darby Allin turn on Sting. In yet another short cinematic scene, Sting is surrounded by beautiful women in a glowing red cave and says, "There's something very familiar about all of this." And then Vader is seen in a mirror shouting, "Stinger!" And the mirror shatters.
Yep. That's money, dude. That was money.
Oh my gosh. This it keeps getting better. Like, I need more of this.
I want someone to watch this because they're going to hear it all and they're going to think you're making this up.
Yeah, go back and watch all this, please, for the love of God.
Why do you hate people?
And it needs to happen. We go back to that glowing red cave with the beautiful women all over the place. And Vader says, "Race, strap." And Harley Race tightens the leather strap around Vader's wrist. He throws it to Sting. Sting picks it up, and then the screen explodes. So did they already have a White Castle of Fear strap match, and now they're going to have a rematch in the ring?
I don't know.
It's just weird. I don't know. But if we aren't already pumped up enough for this, Greg, we get another freaking segment of Bischoff, Johnny B. Bad, and Missy Hyatt. Good effing grief.
Yeah. They're the host of the show. They got to push that all night.
Yeah. But we finally get Big Van Vader with Harley Race. He's defending the WCW World Heavyweight title against Sting in a White Castle of Fear strap match. This went for just shy of 11 minutes. The graphic on the screen, by the way, lets us know that this is not a sanctioned match by the WCW. So, yeah. Then Tony Schiavone said they did the lights out thing before the match to let him know. Okay.
Cool.
Anyway.
We couldn't have got that?
Well, here's my thing. If it's unsanctioned, why is it for the title?
Yeah, right.
That one confused me. But Sting whipped Vader's back until he literally bled. Deeper into the match, Sting gets busted open. I missed the spot where he actually got busted. And then Vader's ear is busted open at one point, and he's just a bloody effing mess. Pretty gross. In the end, Sting holds on to the ropes to prevent Vader from touching the fourth turnbuckle, but Race smacks his hands to get him loose, and Vader is able to reach the turnbuckle for the win. Uncle Dave calls this the best strap match he's ever seen, and he gives it 4.5 stars. I gave it 3 stars because I thought it was really good, but not the best thing ever. Like, what say you?
I thought it was 2.
You didn't
enjoy
like
it that much. Nah, I didn't.
Wow.
I thought it was funny, too, that the heel lost and got the hell beat out of him. Oh, heel won, excuse me, got the hell beat out of him after.
Yeah, and he was... I mean, both guys were bleeding, but yeah, Vader was the messier of the two, that's for damn sure. And like you said, after the match, Sting runs up and starts whipping the crap out of Vader all over again until he runs off like a scared little you-know-what. Good Lord. And to close the show, we go back to Eric Bischoff, Johnny B. Bad, Missy Hyatt. Missy says that her and Johnny have to freshen up for a party that they've been invited to. And then Barry Windham comes up to be interviewed by Eric Bischoff and says that he's taken all comers for his championship.
And he wants every championship, which I was like,
yes.
You have the top one. Why do you need the others?
Yeah, I misspoke. He's taking on all comers for all championships. Yes. That is correct. I'm like, yeah, so does that mean you want both world titles? I don't know. Whatever.
And that's everything that we had on the Sting and Vader feud throughout the years in WCW. That was personally one of my favorites, as I mentioned earlier. And another one of me and Greg's personal favorites is coming up here. Possibly Sting's most infamous feud ever. I mean, yeah, you could throw Hollywood Hogan in there, but seriously, the feud that made Sting what he became, the feud that really put Sting on the map was him versus Ric Flair. Ric Flair took Sting, said, "Let me make that guy," and by God, he did. They had awesome matches. Sure, you could argue They kind of did similar stuff every single time, and if you, Greg even mentions in one of these clips, you've seen one Flair Sting match, you've seen them all, but doesn't mean they were bad, doesn't mean you don't want to see it again. By God, that was a fantastic feud that went on for years and years. It epitomized the late NWA and into WCW throughout many, many years, which is why on the very last Nitro ever, the final match that you saw to close out the show was Ric Flair versus Sting one more time. So I'm going to be including quite a few clips here of Flair and Sting, and it's Greg and I enjoying it all, whether they're in a match together on the same side or on opposite sides of the ring. It's good stuff, and all this somehow either involves Sting and Flair together, Sting and Flair against each other. It's all good, but and I also include the World War III 60-man battle royal that they had, because both of them were in the battle royal together, so that counts. They also faced each other on that show in a one-on-one match, I believe. So yeah, it counts. And it pads out the runtime for the podcast anyway, and it's just something to enjoy. So anyway, I hope you enjoy this audio coming up. Again, you will hear a voice announcement telling you what event this is all taking place at, and we're starting off with their very first, most infamous match from NWA Clash of the Champions 1.
NWA Clash of the Champions 1.
It is Ric Flair with J.J. Dillon in his corner, and Dillon's really earning his money tonight. He is defending the he's defending the NWA World Heavyweight title against Sting. This one went 45 minutes even. J.J. Dillon was suspended in a shark cage above the ring during this match. I forgot about that aspect of it, by the way.
My note on that, by the way, is, man, that shark cage was lower than any other shark cage I've ever seen in wrestling.
Right.
Like, how many views are being blocked from that damn thing? Like, I don't know why that's where my head went, but I'm like, I bet you a lot of fans I can't see a lot.
I didn't even think about that aspect of it, but yeah. Sting did a Superman routine in this one, while Ric Flair had to keep outsmarting him and picking his spots. I thought that was a cool dynamic. Flair's right shoulder actually gets cut and bleeds at one point. Neither wrestler scores a decision before the time limit expired. The decision was left to the appointed judges, which we'll get to in a minute. But Uncle Dave called this a Match of the Year candidate. It actually did win Match of the Year for 1988.
I mean, it's it.
Yeah, it did win Match of the Year in the Wrestling Observer. He gave it 4 3/4 of a star.
Crap, dude.
I'm assuming the fact that it didn't get 5 stars would be like he shaved off a quarter because it had a Broadway finish. I don't know. I gave it 4.5. Like, I didn't think it was quite 5, but it was damn close. What say you?
I gave it a solid 5. This was perfect as perfect can be.
It was really damn good. And if you want like a match that goes almost an hour, that's like entertaining from start to finish, like, I feel like in 45 minutes they had a better match than Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels at WrestleMania 12 did in 60 minutes. But maybe that's just me. I'm not saying that match sucked either. It was a good match. I feel like this one was a little better. But we go to commercial break.
It's better than most matches, though.
Yeah, that's true. But we go to commercial break right after this match, and when we come back, we go to the judges' decisions. Gary Juster awarded the match to Sting. Patty Mullen declared it in favor of Flair. Sandy Scott rolled Sandy Scott, wow, I didn't even think about that. Sandy Scott rolled the match a draw, and apparently the other two don't matter because the decision was announced after that.
So I didn't miss something. I didn't miss something. I had somebody else like, did we only get 3 judges' scores?
Yeah. They were like, because of that, this match is a draw. And I'm like,
okay, it kind of negates having judges for wrestling if you're going to have one of them say it's a draw. Should they all have an opinion and you pick an odd number so somebody won? What did I miss there?
Yeah, like in UFC, that's not allowed. A judge can't be like, I think this one was even. You know, they both win. Like, what? No. Like, that's, like you said, that's the entire point of having judges.
You can still have a judge's draw if somebody lost the point. But
yeah,
that doesn't happen in wrestling, though. Was Flair deducted a point for that, low blow or something? Or
yeah, I don't know. This is stupid. I was like, all right, whatever.
NWA Halloween Havoc 1989.
The main event is the Thunderdome Cage match. It's the Great Muta and Terry Funk with Gary Hart as their Terminator. They're taking on Ric Flair and Sting with Ole Anderson as their Terminator. The Terminator is the only way to win is your quote Terminator has to throw the towel in for you to surrender for you. The special guest referee, as we mentioned, is Bruno Sammartino. This went for 23 minutes, 46 seconds. This crowd legitimately hated Terry Funk. That's the first note I made. Because they're throwing drinks at him, trying to climb the fence.
Before I forget, I want to, hold on, sorry, not to cut you off, because I got to mention before, since we're on Terry Funk, dude, he looks amazing here. He is freaking shredded.
Yeah, he looked like he spent a lot of time in the gym.
Hell? That's not the Terry Funk I remember, from, when I was watching him on the regular, wow, dude. Good Lord.
Physically, he looked great here. Yeah, I noticed that as well. But yeah, they're trying to jump the railing to fight him. They're throwing stuff at him. I'm like, man, Terry Funk in 89 had some freaking heat.
Well, this is fresh off him putting the bag over Flair's head and trying to kill him.
Yeah. Apparently that doesn't stand in Philadelphia.
No, but you can throw Stonewalls at Santa, though.
Hell yeah. Sting and Ric Flair get godlike reactions. I said the Thunderdome Cage, I was going back and forth between saying it looked cool and looked goofy.
Well, my note on that is, so the deck. Oh, first of all, sorry, I got to talk about one thing before we even go on because I'm going to forget. The cage accidentally lit on fire to start the match. Did you see that?
Oh, yeah, I've got something about that coming up.
Okay, yeah. Since I already mentioned it, let's just talk about it. Okay. When I said one of the coolest things on here had nothing to do with wrestling, I geeked out watching this back, seeing Great Muta climb the cage and use his mist to spit out the fire. Yeah, that was so badass.
Yeah, because they were trying to put, I guess they used pyro, or maybe they did have some electricity or something, and they had vines and leaves and crap all over this freaking cage, and in the corner it was damn near a bush, and it caught on fire, and they couldn't put it out, so Muta climbs the side of the cage and mists it, and the fire goes out. I'm like, holy, who would have thought of that?
Right? That was so badass. I'm like, holy crap.
Yeah, it was great.
I think I marked too much for that. If that's possible. Oh man, that was great. On the cage, real quick though, I get what they were going with, with decorating it because Halloween, the theme and all that. Yeah. But to me, it just looked like it was not intentional, and it just looked like hell. It looked like somebody forgot to finish decorating it.
Yeah, I know. This was, I don't know. It was weird. They had ropes and vines and bushes and leaves and gargoyles and what, I don't know. It looked dumb. I mean, it kind of looked cool. Kind of looked. Way. Yeah, I know, right? I don't know.
Does that make too much sense? A pumpkin?
I guess. My thing was, were you confused about the electric cage as well? Because I'm like, when is it supposed to be turned on? What parts are supposed to be turned on?
Yeah, I honestly forgot it was electric because it never turned on. So
yeah, nobody got shocked. Or I'm sorry, no, I take that back. Muta touched one part and supposedly got shocked at one point. I don't know if that was legit or not. But Funk was literally hanging off of it to start the match. So I was
None of it was hanging off it. I'm like, what the hell is he doing? Is he drunk right now? Because he was fumbling back and forth. And he was he was on it. He was on the cage and on the rope at the same time. And then he was on the ropes, and then he was on the cage, and then he was on them at the same time. I'm like, what the hell am I watching right now?
Yeah, it was really weird. And it was cool. It kind of, because they were like, well, he's nuts. What's that nut doing? Yeah. And it's but yeah, it never came into play, and they're playing it up on commentary oh, you can feel the heat from the electricity. And then Sting shoves Muta's head through it, and nothing happens. I'm like, okay. But anyway, getting to the actual match here. This starts off as an actual tag match, but quickly breaks down into a tornado tag because they just didn't care anymore.
My first note on there was, do we really need tags in this?
No. That's why I was like, this is stupid. But this is where I was severely confused about the cage and the electricity. It just, none of it made sense. They used hanging ropes to swing around and to tie each other up on and whatever. And they used a cage on each other at various points. And they tried to use, all of this stuff to the best of their advantages. So, I mean, good for them. The match ends with when Flair locks Funk in a figure 4 while Sting keeps doing splashes off the top rope onto Funk. And in the center of the ring. And then Muta goes to hit Bruno, but Bruno punches him and he flops out of the ring. Then Ole Anderson punches Gary Hart, and Gary accidentally throws the towel towards Bruno. Bruno sees the towel and he calls for the bell. Uncle Dave said this was a crazy match with Funk stealing the show with his antics despite having a bad knee. Also, the cage was a really impressive visual, although Dave has heard that overall the match didn't come across as impressively on pay-per-view as it did live. Well, he heard wrong. He, by the way, gave it 4 freaking stars. I gave it 3. What say you?
Okay, I said the match itself sucked. So for that, I give it 2. But, the stuff with Funk was fun, and the fact that who was in it, and it turned into a brawl is what it should be. So I bumped it up to 3. It was it was a fun watch. So
he probably liked it more because he was physically there, which I've done the same thing.
That's a bias you can't ignore. I got to be honest with it. But I did say that the ending was horrible. It was stupid.
Yeah,
so it's a fun match for what it was. I get the decorations, but the cage, it just didn't look like it was done. Like there was production errors. And then it was like the factor about this match. I wrote a fact. I'm like, what do I really write as a fact for this match? Look who's in it. What can I say?
Yeah,
I'm like,
right.
I could throw you a million facts, so I'm not even going to bother.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. It was a fun watch, though. It was fun. As a match, it sucked. As like an overall experience, watching and having fun, it was fun.
Yeah, I thought it was a fun match. It wasn't a 5-star Tokyo Dome classic, but it was really good.
That would be 6 stars.
Well, that's true. I did say if you go back and watch the wrap up of this at the end of the match, I'm pretty sure they're playing War Pigs by Black Sabbath during the match. I thought I heard that. Yeah. Yeah. And
also, by the way, they got away with playing Iron Man for the Legion of Doom.
Wow. Yeah, I heard a little bit of Iron Man. I did.
Well, it was the Iron Man dub that they use. The remake that WCW themselves made, but they didn't dub over it.
Right, yeah.
Like they do with like DDP's theme and the Sid Vicious theme that he used. That was like a remake of a Poison song, I believe. But they didn't dub over it, which I thought was, cool because I liked it.
I liked it.
I think unfortunately they recycled it later for Vince Russo, but I liked it. It was good.
Yeah, of all effing people. Because when I think Doom, I think Jim Russo or Vince Russo.
But to be fair, okay, you talk all you want about Russo, but he clearly got good taste in music.
Yeah.
There's that.
My final note for the show is that JR is clearly hoarse at the end of this show.
Yeah. He said they ended up with my note for that. I heard him say to Coddle at the end, "Well, the Road Warriors wanted to beat the Skyscrapers, but they'll take a no disqualification victory." I'm like, you just said they didn't beat them, but they had a no disqualification victory. What the hell does that mean?
Yeah. Wow.
Really, he was out of it.
Yeah. Right.
NWA Great American Bash 1990.
But we now go to footage from earlier in the day where Gordon Solie was talking to Sting in the locker room. Sting says that he's got everything going for him tonight, and everything's set up just the way he wants it. Okay? Now, this was a good use of interview time right here, Greg.
Yep. Oh, yeah.
Hey, Sting, we're going to put a microphone in your face. Just say some shit.
I don't think any interview on this entire show is necessary. None of them accomplished a damn thing.
No, it's just like wasted time. Shit. We need a job for Gordon Solie. Damn it, we got to justify his paycheck. So Sting, do you plan on beating him with a vertical suplex? That's the thing I will always remember about Gordon Solie is just the way he would never say suplex. It was a suplex. Just effing weird, man.
It was a suplex. I know what a souffle is.
Yeah, right. It is Nature Boy Ric Flair defending the NWA World Heavyweight title against Sting. This goes 6 minutes, 6 seconds. So the Steiner brothers and the dudes with attitude are allowed around the ring.
Oh, you got the name right. It just ticks me off when people call them dudes with attitudes. There's no S on the end.
That's stupid.
Hey, I didn't make it.
Well, Ole Anderson is only allowed to be there if he's handcuffed to El Gigante. So El Gigante makes him stand up almost by the stage. He's like halfway up the ramp. I wanted to say I have Mattel versions of both that Sting and that Ric Flair.
I do too.
I don't have the robe with Ric Flair because that one, or no, maybe I do. I don't remember which one is which because I got a couple Ric Flairs like from the same time period. One came in that 4-pack of the Horsemen I bought in Brooklyn.
I remember that.
Yeah. Then there was another blue one. I think he came with a black robe. So the Horsemen try running out at one point, but are held back by the dudes with attitude. In the end, Flair dodged a flying knee to the corner and went for the figure 4, but Sting rolls through with a small package for the win. Uncle Dave gives this 3 3/4 stars. I give it 3.5. What say you?
I gave it 3.
Pretty good.
Dude, what was Sting going for with that knee? Because that was I've never seen him do that ever.
Yeah, it's like I was thinking he was going for the Stinger Splash, but I'm like, well, you can't excuse that because he literally leads with his damn knee. Like, the only thing I could think was like, did you see he was moving at the last second and readjust to like push in the blow with your knee? I don't effing know. I'm trying to put logic into it. It was random, but you know what? It worked. And they kept playing up how Sting just came back from knee surgery, so Rick would have the advantage, going for the legs. So it was cool.
Yeah, I remember watching this when I was a kid. It took me all the way back, man. I had my Sting shirt on. I had my Sting Galoob. I was going nuts. And that was a couple days ago when I watched this. But
hell yeah!
No, I remember I was like going nuts, man. And you know what I also realized in watching this? That within a couple of months span, the Blade Runners took down the top 2 guys in all of wrestling.
Wow, that's true. Sting should have been first, but he got injured, so they put it off until this event. Because I want to say it was originally supposed to happen at Starrcade, and they had to Starrcade 92, the one where he faced Luger, or not 92, 89.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, because I know you and I reviewed Starrcade 90, 92, blah 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 blah.
Oh, double check that because it is you.
Right. Yeah. We didn't do Starrcade 89, but I'm pretty sure that was the event. And he said because they threw Luger in at one point, and Flair was like, "No, I promised the title to Sting," so he refused to drop the belt to Luger. So I don't know, but this was still fun. Yeah, I couldn't. Okay, it must have been a different event because Sting was at Starrcade. It was at Future Shock.
I think it was going to be Super Brawl in February.
Yeah, because Sting did face Ric Flair in the main event and beat him. It just was non-title.
Because
Lord.
WCW.
Right. I think it was a tournament, bro. Yeah, it was some kind of freaking damn tournament. What the hell was them with them and wasting Starrcade on this garbage? And it's in the Omni. Anyway, people can correct me, and I'm sure you will. I can't remember exactly what event he was supposed to drop it at, but
actually,
either way, the babyfaces jump in the ring and celebrate with Sting as tons of pyro lights off. Sting then walks up to the stage while more pyro lights off over the entryway. Gordon Sully meets Sting on the stage. Sting says that his mouth is really dry, which I feel like is TMI. He then says that Ric Flair is the greatest world champion of all time, and he's got some big shoes to fill. He's going to do his best, and he's going to do the best that he can to fill those shoes. Sting says that Flair won all 6 championships with the Horsemen. I mean, no, but, whatever. But he says that he's still the greatest champion ever. Sting then comes back to the ring to celebrate with the crowd, or for the crowd, while more pyro blows off in the rafters. All that pyro, it's like, no wonder you're going, running in the red.
I don't know if you caught it, by the way, but Sting was kind of over here.
Yeah, just a little bit. He won like every award and trophy and everything else known to frickin' man in this company. I don't think he was ever the U.S. champion, though, was he?
I feel like I remember him being U.S. champion later. He won a tournament for that.
The Crow Sting?
No, before that.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't remember. Well,
I feel like he won a tournament, bro.
So I guess just so I can get it in one more time before the end of the show. He says that Ric Flair won all 6 championships with the help of the Horsemen.
NWA Halloween Havoc 1990.
It's Sting defending the NWA World Heavyweight title against Sid Vicious. Those 12.5 minutes. Sid is announced as being from anywhere he darn well pleases. Did you catch
Hailing
that?
from the closest softball field.
Right. Hailing from Screw Your Cousin Arkansas.
Wow.
I joke. Good Lord.
Joke or not, you're in trouble.
Yeah. They battle up the aisle at one point just so that Sting can do that running dive over the top rope onto Sid in the ring. Later, Ric Flair and Arn Anderson walk to the ring as Sting and Sid fight to the backstage area. Sid and Sting now come back to the ring, and Sting goes for a body slam on Sid, but Sid falls on top of Sting and pins him to win. From the angle that they're shooting, if you're not looking close enough, this appears to be Sting. Upon further investigation, he didn't have that sweet, sweet rat tail. So it clearly wasn't him, and it was actually Barry Windham. By the way...
Wasn't he, like, making a return here or something?
Maybe? My thing here, like, I just now thought of this. How did he know what tights Sting was going to be wearing that night and then get replicas?
Why don't you just shut up and go with it?
Yeah. How dare I, you know?
Me, right?
But anyway,
that never gets old.
Sid is announced as the new champion. Pyro lights off and balloons fall from the rafters as the real Sting comes out from the back, ropes tied around his wrists. The real Sting ends up hitting a Stinger splash in the corner on Sid, rolling him up, retaining the world title. Uncle Dave said that Sid was the clear babyface here, but the match stunk for a main event.
Yeah.
I don't know. They were cheering for Sting as well, but they did blow when he was announced as the world champion. So I'm like, what the frick?
It was a charming son bitch, man.
I guess so. What, like, Sid was just over everywhere all the time.
He's had an it factor.
I guess so. Uncle Dave also said Sid can't work, but he looks phenomenal standing still.
He's out of line, but he's right.
Holy crap.
I mean, it's kind of hard to argue, but I don't think he was terrible. He wasn't great. Uncle Dave gave this a 1.5 stars. I give it deuce. What say you?
I gave it 2.
Yeah, it was fine. Jim Ross talks to Sting before the end of the show. Sting says that he doesn't know what's going on with the Black Scorpion and the Four Horsemen, but he'll always be around to defend his world title. Pyro keeps lighting off all over the place as Paulie dangerously throws a fit on commentary. Man, you would have thought that...
I'm trying to figure out why, because I know they were his guys.
Yeah, right. You would have thought that Jey Uso just turned on Roman Reigns.
You know what you've done?
Well, remember, he's the Juso.
So that one really popped the hell out of me.
Yeah, when you told me that, I was like, oh my lord.
Juso.
WCW Starrcade 1990.
We get Tony Schiavone interviewing Sting backstage. The audio is absolutely horrible, but I was able to figure out...
I'm starting to see a pattern here.
Yeah.
The audio, the misspellings.
Something tells me that the production team here sucked ass. But I don't know where I get that. It's just, call me Nostradamus here. But I was able to figure out...
mentioning in this podcast, by the way, folks.
Yeah. I figured out that Sting was confused by the Black Scorpion, but he said that he was going to figure out who he is here tonight. Yeah, you will.
Okay, not to get ahead, but I guess we can talk about it, but I'm just going to say it. Even as a freaking 6-year-old kid, I knew who it was. Is that bad?
You knew who it was during the match or during the build-up?
The whole thing.
Oh, I'm like, through all the build-up, you knew who it was?
Yeah, I'm like, we know who it is, right?
I don't know. Well, I mean, you were ahead of even the booking team, because according to the booking team, they didn't even know who it was going to be until like the week of Starrcade.
I just was like, that's Ric Flair, right? He keeps attacking Sting. We know Sting and Flair. Come on.
Well, they said the guy who was originally going to be him, Ric Flair, actually, like the week of the show, it was like some young guy. I can't even remember now. But Flair was like, hey, if we do this to this kid, it's going to kill his career. Let's...
Barry Windham.
Wow. Yeah,
no, it was supposed to be Barry Windham.
That might have been one of the choices. There was another one. I can't remember.
The whole thing was like Windham just did the fake Sting thing at Halloween Havoc. It's like really two pay-per-views in a row. He's going to be that kind of thing. So.
Yeah. I can't remember who it was now off the top of my head. But yeah, it was supposed to be, they were going to put somebody else under the Black Scorpion hood. And Ric Flair was like, yeah, he's like, let me do it. He's like, I'm basically bulletproof here. He's like, you're not, nothing's ever going to.
And he knew by this time next year he'd be in the bigger company. So he didn't give a damn.
Oh my God. Yeah. I forgot about I forgot about all that stuff. But yeah, this has been going on since August of 1990, by the way. They were just trying to make something mysterious. It's Ole Anderson.
The payoff wasn't at Halloween Havoc. Why?
Because they felt they could build it up to this, I guess. I don't know. But it was the voice was done by Ole Anderson, which is why, when I did the voice last week on the podcast, you were like, "No, you sound like the Shockmaster." It's like, yes,
yeah.
It was the same guy.
That's the same guy?
Yeah.
Someone will get that.
Yeah. Wow. But the main suspect for most people was actually Jim Hellwig, a.k.a. the Ultimate Warrior. But there was no...
How is that even remotely possible?
I know.
He's literally holding a title in the other company.
Yeah. Other people thought it was, for anybody who knew who the hell this guy was former Power Team USA partner of Sting, Dave Shelton, a.k.a. the Angel of Death. Oh, it was Al Perez.
Sounds like a horrible biker name.
Right. It was going to be Al Perez, by the way. So the wrestler playing him this time was Al Perez, who, according to Ric Flair, was supposed to remain the Black Scorpion until the unmasking. This is before he quit. So I guess Flair didn't step up until after he quit. But
revisionist history, folks.
Yeah, right. So Perez...
and Hulk Hogan gets crap for that, but Flair's fine. Okay.
Yeah, Flair you could excuse for, a little bit of the drinky drink, but that's neither here nor there.
That's fair.
Before the main event, Dick the Bruiser stiffly walks to the ring dressed like Tugboat, but in blue and white stripes instead of red and white stripes.
Wow, I didn't piece that together. Holy crap.
Am I wrong here?
No, but I just didn't see it till now.
Dangerously kept referring to him as Popeye the Sailor Man.
Well, that one I caught, yeah.
During the match, he said something about, gonna give a shout out to his wife at home, Olive Oil. He's making a nice spinach salad for him for when he gets home. Damn it, Paul. 4 Black Scorpions walk to the ring while a spaceship-looking thing lowers and closes while pyro explodes behind it. A voice comes over the PA system that says that the 4 men we see before us are just messengers. There's only one true Black Scorpion. And the pod opens, and a man in a different kind of Black Scorpion mask steps out wearing a silver sparkly cape. They zoom in way too close on the Scorpion's face, by the way, and we can clearly see it's Ric freaking Flair. Just like...
Yep.
Oh, yeah, Tony Schiavone pointed out, he was like, you can't hide that beak. So, and that impeccable tan, by the way. Can't hide that.
Hey, what event is this?
This is the main event of Starrcade, baby.
Yeah. Better have that tan going.
Oh, yeah. And he's taking on another man with an impeccable tan at this point, but, 7 years later.
Who is the butt of this joke?
I know. Well, this main event match is Sting defending the NWA World Heavyweight Championship against the Black Scorpion. It is a cage match with special guest referee Dick the Bruiser. It went for 18 minutes, 31 seconds. I will hand it to the Black Scorpion that, and I put in quotations, quote, the Black Scorpion, that he wrestled in a way that if his appearance wasn't so obvious, I wouldn't have been able to tell that it was him until about halfway through the match when he just said F it and started doing his normal stuff. Plus, only one man bumps the way that guy does. So, I mean, come on. Towards the end of the match, Sting hits a Stinger Splash and then locks in the Scorpion Deathlock, but the Black Scorpion manages to crawl out of it. Sting rips off the mask, but the Black Scorpion has a silver mask on under it. After a while, Sting throws the Scorpion face first into the cage over and over and press slams him face first into the cage. The mask is ripped and the Scorpion is bleeding because it's the main event of Starrcade and, well, it's Ric Flair. So
and nobody bleeds like that.
Yeah. What do you mean I'm in a mask and I can't bleed? Hold my beer.
Bro, he slit his throat, bro.
Sting hits a crossbody off the top for a pinfall victory. Uncle Dave uses a baseball analogy of the home team being up by 6 runs in the 9th inning when the greatest closing pitcher in history stepped up to finish it off and was told by the coach that he had to... But Go ahead before I finish the analogy here.
You don't bring in your closer in your head by 6 runs. So that already null and void that whole thing.
Yeah, I know.
What the hell? 4 is the absolute max. 3, obviously, to save it. But 4 is the max. You don't bring in a closer in your head by 6. You save him.
Well, even if you did, you wouldn't bring it. If you had, I mean, you don't have just one closer on your bench, do you?
You have one dedicated, but others can do it.
Okay, well, either way. But he said you bring in the greatest closing pitcher in history to step it up to finish it off. And he was told by the coach that he called him a coach, so it's a manager, but, whatever. He was told by the manager that he had to pitch with a mask on, and he wasn't allowed to throw any pitches that might identify him as the star closer.
That's like telling Mariano Rivera not to use the cutter.
Yeah, wow. I mean, I get the analogy. He's not wrong.
There's a lot wrong with it, actually. But
well, he gave it 3/4 of a star. He didn't even give it a full effing star. I give it 2.5 because I said it was very average. A very average cage match. And we'll get to the post-match shenanigans here in a minute. But what say you?
I gave it 2 only because I was like kind of into it.
Yeah, I didn't think it was terrible.
Myself back into how it was when I was a kid.
Yeah.
And, I really enjoyed anything Sting did, so.
And also, kudos to Flair for, like I said, until about halfway through the match, besides his appearance, I couldn't tell it was him. He didn't do his normal stuff to indicate, I'm Ric Flair. But the other 4 Black Scorpions hit the cage and are beaten up and unmasked one by one by Sting and Dick the Bruiser. The Horsemen then hit the cage with a chair, and they beat up Bruiser and Sting. Anderson DDTs Sting on the chair and beats him up with the chair afterwards. And then all of a sudden they're keeping the door closed to the cage so you can't get in the door. And we see the Z-Man, Tommy Rich, and Ricky Morton try to get in. Quite the cavalry. But the Horsemen fend them off. The Steiners rush down with bolt cutters to open the locked cage door and take an eternity to do so. The babyfaces rush.
Hey, in their defense, that looked hard, dude.
Yeah.
I don't think they were fumbling. I think they just couldn't do it.
Yeah, they were like, what the F? But they had almost as hard a time with that cage door as Mark Henry did.
Good Lord.
Sorry, I had to.
We're 7 years away from Kane just pulling it off like a hair.
Right? The babyfaces rush the cage as Sting rips off the mask of the Black Scorpion to reveal, oh my God, it's Ric Flair with a new haircut. He chopped off.
I didn't even piece that hair thing together until now. Earlier in the night.
Yeah, because I was sitting there, I was like, man, he did a really good job of tucking his hair up under that mask. And then I was like, wait a minute, he chopped all his. I don't remember Flair getting a haircut in 1990. But now
Jim Herd wanted him to, and he wanted him to wear an earring, and he wanted to call him Spartacus.
I remember that, but I didn't think he did it. I just couldn't remember this.
Because when he shows up to WWE, he has short hair.
Yeah, I forgot about it.
Shorter.
Yeah. Yeah, that whole thing was just something, man.
WCW World War III, 1995.
Mean Gene Okerlund interviews Hulk Hogan, Sting, and the Macho Man Randy Savage. Hogan's still in all black, but he says that he's done walking on the dark side, and he rips the black stuff off to reveal the red and yellow. He then burns the black shirt in a burn barrel in front of them. That's practical.
It has no effect when it's a plain black shirt.
Yeah.
It's not like you were, I don't know, what's a good example? Burning something like
you're like a flag or something?
I don't want to say that, but yeah, that's what I was thinking. But something like that, but really a plain black shirt. Ooh. I run you a few bucks at Kmart or what? How much you pay for that?
Oh yeah. Kmart. Wow. There's a throwback.
Hey, 95 was the thing. So
it definitely was. But Sting says that he's glad that Hogan's with them, and Macho Man apologizes for trusting Lex Luger. While Hogan's continuing to cut his promo, Sting is grabbing water and trying to put out the fire in the burn barrel. So Hogan basically throws a tantrum about Uncle Dave revealing that Giant was going to be winning the WCW title. By the way, he was reading an old issue of The Observer. He actually said that, the hashtag plans changed. Macho Man's going to win it. And
what are we talking about? Did he say it in the promo?
Well, I don't think he exactly said that the Giant was winning or whatever, but he's throwing a fit about, the internet dirt rags and whatever. and revealing stuff. And then he
I
says,
must have forgot to take notes on the promo.
yeah. Well, he says that Randy Savage's arm injury was a total swerve, brother, on everyone, and says that the supposedly injured arm was just fine this whole time. This despite the fact that Savage has been wrestling for weeks with a severely taped up arm. So,
semantics.
Yeah. Hogan then threw the rag sheet, as he called it, in the burn barrel while saying, "Observe this."
I've always loved Hogan.
Uncle Dave said he feels flattered that Hogan would devote this entire promo to crapping on him. But a hype video is shown for Sting and Ric Flair's feud again. It shows Flair getting into it with Arn Anderson and Flying Brian, asking Sting for help, and Sting warning Flair to not swerve him, and then Flair swerves him.
Flair does it anyways.
Yeah, right.
Dude,
God.
Fool me once, fool me twice, come on, Sting, it's your dumbass fault.
Right. Sting is the most gullible man ever.
Kid, I saw this coming a mile away.
Right. Well, this one is Ric Flair versus Sting. Goes for 14.5 minutes. Sister Sherry and Colonel Robert Parker come out onto the stage to watch the match at one point and just keep making out. The match ends when Sting drops Flair and locks in the Scorpion Deathlock for the submission victory. It was Flair versus Sting, so what can I say? Great match. Uncle Dave gave it 3 3/4 stars. I gave it 3.5. Again, what say you?
I gave it 2. Yeah, I've seen better, I feel like.
Wow. Yeah, I don't know. I really like this match. So
it was good, but
yeah, I always like.
So you see one, you've seen them all. It's like, geez.
Yeah, that's true. They have their match, and they're gonna do that match, and that's it. It's, playing the hits, man. It's the 60-man 3-ring World War III Battle Royale for the WCW
dangerous Battle Royale.
Oh yes, lest I forget. This went 29 minutes and 40 seconds. So, because there are 3 rings and 60 men, there are also 3 broadcast teams. There's Tony Schiavone and Bobby Heenan on one, Eric Bischoff and Dusty Rhodes on another, and Chris Cruz and Larry Zbyszko on the other. This a little bit overkill,
and no Mongo.
How effing dare they?
Well, seriously, he was like their guy on Nitro, and they don't even put Mongo in there. But
yeah, I know. Yeah, they put Dusty in there, but not Mongo. I see how it is.
I mean, it's not like Dusty was any better. No offense, but
yeah, I know. Well, that's what I'm getting at. But for some reason, the Yeti now looks like a giant ninja. So yeah.
Reason. There's a reason, because reasons.
Yeah. A metric crap ton of pyro shoots off before the match officially starts. Cody was jealous. But the Yeti
No, he wasn't jealous. He's a kid at this point, and he knows that's what he wants.
Yeah, he's like, I want that someday, Dad. But the Yeti is the first giant to be eliminated. The entire match is, and how dare they, because I thought he was going to be the Iron Man. But the entire match is on a 3-screen split screen, and I can't keep track of a damn thing. Ring 2 is the first to be cleared, so the giant goes in.
Something tells me they just didn't think of this. Hey, we got 3 rings. How are we going to do this? Oh, we're going to have 3 screens the whole night.
Yay!
That's not stupid.
Right. But Ring 2 gets cleared first, so the Giant goes into Ring 1 with Hulk Hogan. Ring 3 is the next to be cleared, so everyone just goes into Ring 1 to make it a 20-man battle royal in one ring. While Sting and Luger were trying to eliminate the Giant, Hogan dumps them all out, and then he goes outside under the bottom rope. However, the ref wasn't looking, and he believes that Hogan went out over the top, and so he declares Randy Savage the new world champion. So you can't even have a clean finish on this. Hogan
was
argues
kind of
with
pathetic.
Hogan
I
argues
was never thrown over the top, but I'll still lose.
Yeah, right. Hogan argues with Randy Anderson and Randy Savage for quite a while. The Randys, quite a while, as Mean Gene Okerlund gets in. This was pure chaos with a weird ending. There was far too much going on. Uncle Dave gave it a star. I give it a 1.5 stars for effort. What say you?
I gave it 2 because at the time it was original.
Yeah.
So it's a first time. You got to give credit for that. Yeah, it was a cluster.
Well,
the three things on my TV at once was stupid. What's the point of having 3 commentary teams if you're going to have one picture split amongst 3 things? But like, what's the point? You know? Why do we need 3?
I know.
You have 3 if you're going to focus. Okay, we're going to ring 1 now with Tony's team, ring 2, whatever. No, they didn't do that. So it's like it was. Can you overbook commentators? I didn't think you could, but apparently you can.
Oh, you can. It was dumb. Anyway, Macho Man is
thought out is the problem. Like that's the end thing about the whole thing.
This was complicated. Macho Man had finally declared the winner and the new world champion. Hogan is still arguing his cause and going insane. He's just like a crybaby at this point. The decision is actually
went on forever.
Yep. Something is getting booed here. I don't know if it's Hogan or the decision.
I'm pretty sure it's Hogan.
Savage says he didn't see nothing, but says, quote, he says, I live by what it is what it is. Can you handle that? That doesn't make any sense.
It's a good way of life. What it is what it is.
Hogan still argues and even polls the fans. God. Savage says that he doesn't want a dark cloud over his title reign and says he wants to see the film. The film, brother. Because they can't just put a replay up on the screen. Hogan says that on Nitro, he'll show him the film, and then he congratulates Savage. Says that he still needs to see the film and deserves a shot at his belt. God, what a sore loser. They end the show by both
just made him look like a complete.
It does. They end the show by both shouting, "Oh yeah!" So cool. And that brings us to the end of our show.
I mean, it's hard to argue when people talk crap about him when you see stuff like this. I like when Macho Man just be the guy.
Right. No, Hogan got screwed. And then he acts like a whiner about it. Like, shut the F up, man. Nobody cares.
That is it. That is all. Thank you for joining me today, everybody. And big thank you to Greg, of course, who unfortunately is no longer with us, but still with us in spirit. And we recorded so much audio. It's like he's still here with us. And I like going back and reminiscing and putting together these shows. It's fun for me. It's cathartic for me. And just reminiscing about Sting, man. Sting! It's good times had by all, and this is really fun. And this is only one of multiple Thank You Sting podcasts I'm going to post this month. When I was going through looking for audio for this particular podcast, I thought, man, I can probably just jam it all into one big Thank You Sting podcast, and then I realized this thing would be like 4 hours long, man. There's a lot of audio that we recorded on Sting throughout the years, on various shows that we covered from WCW, TNA, and I don't think we covered him in WWE at all, which is unfortunate. I wish we would have been able to talk about him in WWE just a little bit, even though it was very short-lived, his time there, and it wasn't the best, but still, I would have liked to have covered. Greg was physically there at WrestleMania 31 when he was there taking on Triple H, so it would have been cool to talk about that and get that on audio, him talking about it. We talked about it offline quite a bit, but it would have been cool to actually record a conversation of us discussing that and him being able to be there and see that. It would have been it would have been interesting to get that on the podcast, but alas, it didn't happen. But we do have him from WCW and TNA, lots that we've covered about that. plenty to get into a few different Thank You Sting episodes. I know Greg would approve because he was a little Stinger back in the day. He loved Sting. I loved Sting as well, still do. Didn't so much follow all of his stuff in AEW, but I followed it a little bit, and I'm just glad he got to do his own thing, man. Go out on his own terms, write his own story, so to speak. And it was fun. And his match at Revolution, is supposedly his final match ever, was fun. I would like to think that someday he will maybe sign a Legends contract with WWE just to be able to get more merch and get back in the video games. But, that's down the line. We'll see how it goes. But you know what they say, man. If there's one thing for sure about Sting, is that nothing's for sure. But thank you all for tuning in, and we will see you next time, either in a week, 2 weeks, something like that. I will let everybody know. We will bring you another Thank You Sting episode, part dos. I have been Troy, and thank you for joining us here on the Main Event Marks.